Snow falls softly over the storybook village, settling on steep rooftops and cobblestone streets until every surface carries a quiet, silver glow. Lanterns shine like small moons along the lanes, their warm halos reflecting in frosted windows and the glossy curves of icicles. At the far end of the oldest street, where the houses huddle closest together, stands a little corner building with crooked eaves, painted in deep midnight blue, its sign gently swinging in the winter breeze, the Magical Toy Shop. Its windows glow with a golden light that seems warmer than simple flame, and the snow never quite settles on its doorstep, as if the shop itself is breathing out a gentle, invisible warmth. To most villagers, the toy shop is simply a charming shop in a quiet corner of town, a place where wooden trains and clockwork birds wait patiently for small hands and wide eyes. Yet, on winter nights when the snow sifts down in perfect silence and the stars hang low above the chimneys, the shop changes. The bell above the door rings in a note that sounds like distant chimes over frozen lakes, and the shelves stretch higher than the ceiling allows. Within those walls, rooms unfold like pages in a never-ending book, and every toy carries a quiet story, waiting to be woken. Somewhere behind the counter, the air itself grows deeper and richer, like the pause before a new dream begins. Inside, the toy shop holds more than simple shelves and counters. There is a realm of clockwork forests, where brass leaves tremble with gentle ticking sounds. There are kingdoms of plush and velvet, where stuffed animals sit upon cloud-soft thrones and smile with stitched mouths full of kindness. There are glass gardens that chime like tiny bells, and a wind-up carnival that fits on a single table, yet stretches into the distance once the first key is turned. Tonight, snow continues to fall outside, muffling the village into a perfect hush, while the magical toy shop glows patiently in the winter darkness, ready to open its hidden doors to anyone who steps inside, to carry wandering minds into worlds made of wonder, comfort, and quiet joy. Welcome to Bedtime Travel Stories, where soothing tales and gentle narrations take you on a tranquil journey through the world's most enchanting places, right from the comfort of your bed. Unwind and travel with us as we explore the globe one story at a time, helping you relax and drift into a peaceful sleep. Chapter 1. The Door That Opens to Everywhere. Snow drifts down in slow, wandering spirals as the storybook village settles deeper into its winter hush. Lanterns flicker along the winding street outside the toy shop, their warm halos rising through the cold air like floating embers. Inside, the windows glow with a golden light that seems to breathe and shimmer, shifting gently across the frost that clings to the panes. The little midnight blue building waits with the quiet patience of a place that has seen countless winters. Its crooked sign sways softly, ringing with a faint chime that somehow blends perfectly into the falling snow. Tonight, as the village grows still, the door of the magical toy shop prepares for its nightly transformation. The bell above the door rests in complete silence, a small brass half-moon suspended from its iron hook. But at the very moment the last lamp in the street is dimmed, the bell stirs. Its clapper trembles forward as if nudged by an invisible fingertip, and the entire shop seems to lean in closer, listening to the sound that is about to form. When the bell finally rings, the note is unlike any other. It is soft and crystalline, echoing like distant music drifting over a frozen lake. The sound seems to expand outward and inward at the same time. To anyone standing outside, the glow from the windows brightens by a shade, turning the snow around the doorway into tiny stars. As the bell's final hum fades, the wooden door shifts against its hinges. It does not swing open all at once. Instead, it moves slowly, as if finishing a thought it began earlier in the day. A faint breeze flows outward, warmer than winter should allow, carrying the scent of pine shavings, cinnamon, and something else. Something like the spark that forms in a child's eyes when imagination takes hold. The shop's threshold glows under the lantern light, and for just a moment the inside appears entirely ordinary. Shelves, wooden counters, baskets of marbles, wheels and wooden blocks. But then the air changes. The doorway stretches, not physically, but perceptibly becoming deeper and more mysterious. Shadows soften into velvety shapes that blend into one another, changing as they breathe. The ceiling rises, then rises again, as though it has forgotten its own height. The back wall no longer seems to exist at all. A corridor forms, made of shelves upon shelves of toys, each one shifting slightly when no one quite sees it. Some toys turn their heads a fraction, others glimmer in small hidden smiles. A soft rustling fills the space, like the sound of tiny wings brushing against one another. Farther in, barely visible at first glance, the corridor curves and then branches into several paths that cannot possibly fit inside the shop's exterior walls. A doorway of shimmering brass filigree appears for a heartbeat before dissolving into a curtain of gently ticking gears. A spiral staircase twists upward, crafted from polished wood and golden threads, vanishing into a ceiling that seems to ripple like a calm lake at dusk. Each path glows faintly in a different colour. Some are warm and amber, others cool and silver, and a few glow with playful bursts of colour like the tail end of a firework. At the very centre of the floor, the soft winter light from outside touches a mosaic tile shaped like a compass rose. It is made from a blend of materials mother of pearl, brass, coloured glass, and delicate carved bone. As the first step is taken across the threshold, the compass rose glimmers to life. Its 4 points glow gently, filling the room with soft, guiding light. Whichever direction someone chooses, the light shifts to gently illuminate that path, lending a sense of welcome and wonder. The shop does not tell visitors where to go. It simply reveals possibilities, waiting for curiosity to lead the way. Behind the counter, the tiny brass cash register hums as though aware of the change. It is an intricate little machine with a dozen different keys, each engraved with symbols instead of numbers: stars, hearts, keys, lanterns, snowflakes. Its drawer clicks softly as if opening on its own, though it doesn't move. The air around it glows with the faintest dusting of silver light. Above it, a mobile of floating glass balls slowly spins, even though there is no breeze. Each orb holds a tiny winter scene inside: a village square, a frozen river, a pine forest lit with fireflies. They shift scenes with every rotation, never showing the same story twice. The first path to reveal itself tonight appears along the left wall. A door that was not there earlier in the day materializes in a twinkle of brass dust. It is crafted from amber wood with gently turning cogs embedded inside the grain. their faint tick-tick-tick sounding like a distant heartbeat. Carved in delicate swirls above the handle are the words, "The Clockwork Forest." When the handle is touched, it gives off a soft warmth that echoes the feeling of mittens held close to a hearth. The door glows with the promise of new wonders. Even without opening it yet, faint hints of the world beyond spill through the cracks along its edges. A soft chorus of small ticking sounds drifts forward, interwoven with the gentle clink of metallic leaves brushing together. A faint light flickers, as if sunlight is filtering through a canopy of golden gears and clockwork branches. The air seems to shimmer in reply, carrying a breath of wind that smells of brass and evergreen. It is an invitation, patient and welcoming. In the soft glow of lantern light from the snowy street behind, the toy shop holds its breath for the next step. The shop's transformation is complete, and every secret world is open once more. For anyone willing to cross the threshold, the first door, the Clockwork Forest, waits quietly, its magic ready to stir. Chapter 2. The Clockwork Forest Awakens. Beyond the amber door, the air shifts into something softer and more delicate than the winter warmth of the toy shop. The moment the door closes behind the first step, sound becomes quieter, as though wrapped in velvet. A faint ticking echoes through the space, steady yet gentle, like the heartbeat of a slumbering creature. Ahead lies a dim golden glow, soft enough to seem dreamlike. The path beneath the feet is not made of earth or snow, but polished wooden planks that merge seamlessly into the roots of trees crafted from brass and bronze. The forest seems to breathe with a mechanical hush, every leaf and branch harmonizing in a chorus of tiny gears. As the light grows stronger, the forest reveals its first wonders. The trees rise tall, their trunks carved with swirling patterns of interlocking cogs. Leaves shimmer in countless shades of gold, copper, and soft pewter, each one trembling gently, even though there is no breeze. When they brush together, they create a quiet chiming like the notes of a music box. Here and there, vines woven from silver filaments curl around the branches, glowing faintly with an inner light. Small metallic flowers bloom along these vines' petals, closing and opening in slow rhythmic pulses, as though sensing the presence of a visitor. Farther within, the forest opens into a small clearing. At its centre stands a pedestal crafted from dark walnut wood, polished smooth by time. Resting on it is a lantern unlike any other, a sphere of interlocked gears, glass petals, and tiny rotating rings that glow from within. As the visitor approaches, the lantern's inner gears begin to move, turning with perfect precision. A warm honey-coloured light spreads outward in a gentle wave. The moment the light touches the clearing, the entire forest seems to stir. Branches straighten, leaves shimmer brighter, and the faint ticking grows richer, as if the forest has awakened after a long, peaceful slumber. With the lantern glowing, the deeper paths of the Clockwork Forest reveal themselves. Narrow walkways of polished brass unfold from beneath fallen leaves and extend into the shadows. The paths branch and curl in every direction, some leading toward distant clock towers hidden behind ornate foliage. Others weave between archways of interlocking gears that slowly rotate with quiet steadiness. Every direction holds a story, though none are rushed. The visitor may choose any path, and the forest will gently adjust to guide them without ever forcing a direction. To one side, a group of mechanical birds perch on a low branch. Their feathers are shaped from thin sheets of gold and silver, each one engraved with tiny swirling patterns. When the lantern's glow reaches them, the birds tilt their heads in unison. Their eyes' small spinning gyroscopes glimmer with curiosity. They chirp soft, musical notes made from perfectly tuned metal chimes. Their song is delicate, peaceful, and full of wonder. After a moment, the birds lift into the air, their wings buzzing like miniature wind-up toys. They circle the clearing before drifting deeper into the forest, as though inviting the visitor to follow. Walking deeper, the forest takes on an even more magical tone. Some trees seem to grow taller as one approaches, as if adjusting their height to match the visitor's gaze. Others lean slightly forward, offering a closer look at their incredible craftsmanship. Occasionally, a bell-shaped flower crafted from translucent glass opens its petals fully. Inside, a tiny scene flickers, miniature snowflakes falling over a crystal cottage, or a sunset reflected in molten gold. The scenes change each time they are touched by the lantern's glow, as though the flowers are dreaming new memories into existence. Further along the winding path, the forest narrows again, forming a natural mechanical archway. Above it hangs a delicate mobile of gears and glass droplets, turning with a serene rhythm. As the visitor steps beneath it, the mobile emits a soft chime. Instantly, the trees beyond shift, revealing a deeper realm hidden behind the forest's shimmering surface. The ticking grows quieter here, replaced by a gentle hum like distant wind moving through hollow brass pipes. The forest remains welcoming, its golden light steady and warm, but the ambience hints that the journey is about to deepen. At last the path opens into a broad, circular glade where the light grows brighter, though never harsh. Hanging above the clearing is a massive clock face suspended without any visible support. Its numbers are crafted from carved wood, its hands from polished silver. It moves slowly, gracefully, never rushing toward any hour. Every tick echoes through the clearing like a peaceful breath. Beneath it, on the forest floor, gears arranged in intricate patterns turn in perfect harmony, spreading outward like ripples on a lake. This is the heart of the clockwork forest, a place not defined by time, but by the gentle rhythm of wonder. Here the visitor pauses, lantern in hand, bathed in warm golden light. The forest is alive, aware and kind. Beyond the far edge of the glade, a new doorway appears, its frame made from intertwining branches of brass and silver. It glows with soft emerald light and leads somewhere deeper, somewhere waiting to be discovered. The clockwork forest rests once more, its magic unfurled for tonight's journey. When the visitor steps forward, the forest hums a final note of welcome, and the next chapter quietly unfolds. Chapter 3: The Plush Kingdom. Stepping through the shimmering emerald doorway, the air changes once again, shifting from warm clockwork amber into something soft and velvety. It feels as though the world exhales in welcome. The floor beneath each step becomes cushion-like, sinking ever so slightly, yet still supporting with gentle steadiness. Light filters into the space differently here, glowing through a haze of warmth and colour. It is not the glow of lanterns or brass, but something more tender pastel light drifting like morning sun through freshly washed quilts. A faint scent of lavender and cotton fills the air, comforting and familiar. The first sight of the plush kingdom is a series of rolling hills made entirely of stitched fabric. Some hills are quilted with patchwork designs in soft pinks, blues and creams. Others are made from velvety material that shifts in colour as the light moves, shimmering in tones of cloud grey and honey gold. The seams of the landscape are carefully hand-stitched, as though crafted by a loving artisan. Tiny tufts of stuffing peek out here and there, glowing faintly, never falling loose, simply adding charm to the handmade world. As the visitor walks forward, the ground subtly reshapes itself to be more comfortable, adjusting to every footfall with gentle warmth. Beyond the hills lies a forest made entirely of plush trees. Their trunks are thick and soft, wrapped in corduroy stripes, felt patchwork or fuzzy fleece. Their leaves are padded, overstuffed shapes that sway with a slow, peaceful rhythm. When a breeze passes through, if breeze it can be called, it sounds like quiet whispers through cotton batting. The trees don't creak or rustle. Instead, they sigh contentedly, as if pleased to have company. Several trees have pockets sewn into their sides, holding tiny plush fruits shaped like stars, hearts and tiny moons. When plucked, each fruit emits a soft jingle or a warm hum. At the centre of the forest stands a grand gate, fashioned from two enormous stuffed animals. One a smiling bear with velvet fur and glass bead eyes, the other a patchwork rabbit with long floppy ears that drape over the archway. Their paws stretch out to form the entrance, stitched together with golden thread. As a visitor approaches, the animals' expressions brighten almost imperceptibly. The bear's round eyes seem to warm, and the rabbit's ears sway as if stirred by a gentle breeze of joy. When the visitor steps beneath the arch, the gate lights up with gentle pulsing embroidery, offering a silent greeting. Inside the plush kingdom proper, an expansive town unfolds. The buildings resemble cosy stuffed cottages, each one sewn with pastel fabric and soft panels. Roofs are scalloped, made from layers of soft felt that overlap like petals. Windows are framed with delicate lace, and doors are padded with warm quilted patterns. The cottages glow from within, lit by lanterns shaped like overstuffed stars that cast a warm, fuzzy light across the streets. The pathways between the cottages are lined with tiny plush flowers, their petals stitched with silver thread. When stepped on, they spring back gently, releasing faint chiming tones like tiny bells. The inhabitants of the plush kingdom begin to appear almost shyly at first. A trio of stuffed foxes, their fur made of soft flannel, peek from behind a pile of cushion stones. A round, rotund penguin waddles out from a cottage, its tiny felt wings flapping with excitement as it greets the visitor. Farther ahead, a group of plush mice sit in a circle, sewing buttons onto a small quilt that seems to shift colours depending on the angle of the light. Each creature is carefully crafted, their expressions gentle and kind. They move without any visible joints or mechanisms, simply gliding with the softness of floating fabric. As the visitor walks through the centre of the kingdom, a melody begins to drift through the air. It is a lullaby, delicate yet full of warmth. The sound comes from a group of plush owls perched on a giant stuffed tree, whose branches are long cushions sewn into spiralling shapes. The owls' wings move in slow, rhythmic motions as they sing, their button eyes shimmering. The melody carries through the entire plush landscape, calming every creature and visitor who hears it. Even the air seems to soften, becoming easier to breathe, light as a warm blanket wrapped gently around the shoulders. Deeper into the kingdom lies the Palace of Pillows, a magnificent structure rising in gentle curves and mounded shapes. The palace walls are made from layers of quilted fabric, stitched in intricate patterns of stars and constellations. Each stitch appears to glow faintly, as though illuminated by moonlight. Giant bolster pillars hold up the roof, which drapes down like a canopy of blankets. At its highest point sits a glowing plush crown, a symbol of comfort rather than authority. Here, the plush kingdom's heart beats softly, reassuringly, in a steady rhythm that echoes through every hill, cottage and creature. At the palace entrance, two very large plush guardians stand, an elephant and a lion, both with friendly faces and oversized button eyes. They bow their heads slowly as the visitor approaches, acknowledging them with a warmth found only in worlds crafted from kindness. When the doors open, doors that are themselves giant patchwork quilts, the interior reveals a circular hall filled with floating pillows, drifting lazily through the air like clouds. These pillows glow with pastel light and pulse with quiet magic. Anyone who touches one feels an immediate sense of peace, as though every worry has been gently placed aside. At the far end of the hall, a new doorway appears, not sewn, not stuffed, but shimmering like frosted glass. It is framed by embroidery in swirling silver patterns that resemble falling snow. This is the exit from the plush kingdom, leading onward to the next magical realm. Around it, the plush creatures gather in quiet farewell, bowing their soft heads, their gentle eyes shimmering with affection and hope. The lullaby fades into a warm hum that seems to promise rest on the journey ahead. With one last glance at the comforting landscape, the patchwork hills, the singing owls, the glowing cottages, the visitor steps toward the shimmering doorway, and the plush kingdom dims into a peaceful dream behind them. Chapter 4: The Glass Gardens. Stepping through the frosted, shimmering doorway, the warmth of the plush kingdom fades into a breath of cool, crystalline air. It is not cold exactly, more like the feeling of stepping into a quiet winter greenhouse just before dawn. The first thing that greets the visitor is light, not strong or harsh, but a soft, drifting radiance that filters through countless translucent surfaces. The air seems filled with tiny specks of reflected glow, as if the entire world is made from morning sunlight suspended in slow motion. Ahead, an archway carved from clear crystal spirals upward, its facets catching the faintest glow and scattering it across the path like snowflakes made from starlight. Beyond the archway, the glass gardens reveal themselves in gentle stages. The path beneath the feet becomes smooth and cool, crafted from polished pale blue glass that glows softly under every step. Around it, tall, elegant plants sprout from crystalline soil, their stems rising like slender glass reeds imbued with soft colour. Some shimmer in pale rose hues, others in mint green, lilac or warm honey gold. As the visitor walks by, the stems bend ever so slightly in greeting, releasing a faint chime like delicate bells struck by the lightest touch. Each blossom within the gardens is a masterpiece. Flowers open and close with slow, graceful movements, their petals carved from translucent glass, so thin they appear to be spinning from the inside with gentle light. Some flowers hold tiny glowing orbs at their centres, softly pulsing like heartbeats. Others contain swirling patterns that shift and dance like trapped auroras whenever a breeze moves through the garden. If breeze it truly is, the petals vibrate in quiet harmony, creating a soft chorus of crystalline tones that carry across the air like a lullaby. The glass gardens stretch out in winding terraces and gentle hills. Bridges made from curved crystal arcs connect different sections of the landscape. Beneath one such bridge, a stream flows not with water, but with liquid light. The glowing ribbon winds through the garden with serene slowness, changing from cool blues to warm pinks to shimmering gold as it moves. Tiny fish-shaped glimmers appear within the stream, drifting like drifting sparks from a candle. Each time they leap, they leave trails of glowing dust that fade into the air with a faint shimmer. Farther along the path, the visitor comes upon a grove of tall glass trees. Their branches stretch outward like lacework sculptures, each adorned with delicate glass leaves cut into intricate designs. The leaves catch the ambient light and reflect it in fractal patterns that dance across the ground in shifting shapes. When one leaf gently falls, as all leaves do in this enchanted place, it lands with a sound no louder than a single distant chime. The fallen leaves do not break. Instead, they dissolve into thousands of glittering sparks that drift upward until they vanish like tiny stars being carried into the sky. At the heart of the grove stands a pavilion made entirely from crystal. Its pillars appear to be spun from frozen starlight, twisting upward in glowing spirals. The roof resembles a giant glass flower blooming overhead, each petal reflecting a different shade of gentle morning light. Inside the pavilion, the temperature shifts just slightly warmer, creating the perfect harmony between cool serenity and comforting presence. The air here carries the faint scent of fresh snow mixed with something sweeter, perhaps blooming winter jasmine crafted from light. Suspended in the centre of the pavilion is the garden's greatest wonder, a floating orb of glass containing swirling luminous mist. It rotates slowly, responding to each breath of air. Within the mist, tiny scenes appear: fields of crystal grass, sunrises over frozen lakes, constellations drifting across imaginary skies. The orb hums softly, resonating with the garden's crystalline music. When approached, it glows brighter, as if recognizing the visitor's presence. The mist within shifts, forming a new scene that seems to reflect the visitor's own heart, whatever they need most: peace, hope, comfort, or quiet inspiration. Around the pavilion, countless small glass creatures wander through the gardens. Some resemble butterflies, with wings carved from thin, iridescent sheets that flutter with gentle light. Others look like dragonflies, leaving trails of brightness as they dance between the blossoms. Near a glowing pool, a family of crystalline deer grazes on luminous grasses. Their bodies refract the garden's soft light into shimmering rainbows, moving gracefully and silently. When noticed, they lift their heads and blink with eyes that reflect the visitor's own warmth. As the visitor explores deeper, the path begins to slope upward, climbing toward a higher terrace. Here the gardens become even more ethereal. Flowers glow brighter, shimmering with inner warmth. Crystal vines climb in graceful spirals along arched trellises, forming tunnels of shifting colour. Some vines hum a steady, comforting drone, while others pulse with rhythmic glimmers as though echoing distant music. When the visitor walks through the vine tunnel, the lights along the path brighten, guiding each step as if the garden itself is leading them onward. At the highest point of the terrace, a crystal balcony extends outward. From here, the entire glass garden stretches into the distance, glowing softly like a frozen sunrise. Countless blossoms shimmer in pastel tones, and the winding, luminous stream glows with serene beauty. The quiet chime of petals forms a peaceful melody that carries far into the air. It is a sanctuary of light, sound, and tranquility, a place where time feels slower, where breath becomes deeper, and where thoughts settle like snowflakes landing gently on glass. And then just beyond the balcony, a new doorway materializes. It forms from swirling frost that gathers into an arch to shape, gradually revealing a frame of ornate glass etched with delicate patterns. Through the doorway, faint warmth glows, a hint of the next realm waiting beyond the gardens. The glass gardens respond to the visitor's approach with a glimmering breeze, as if offering a soft farewell. Petals chime quietly, glass leaves shimmer with affection, and the floating orb glows with gentle encouragement. With luminous paths behind and new wonders ahead, the visitor steps toward the frosted doorway. The gardens shimmer in a final, peaceful breath, and then slowly fade into soft, drifting light. Chapter 5: The Wind-Up Carnival. The frosted doorway of the glass gardens melts away into a swirl of soft, shimmering gears, turning slowly and silently like snowflakes made of brass. As the visitor steps forward, the world shifts once more. The crystalline glow of the gardens fades into a deeper, more amber light, warm, cheerful, and alive with tiny motions. The floor becomes smooth wooden planks once again, but these hum gently beneath the feet, as if 1,000 tiny gears turn far below the surface. Ahead, a wide archway rises, shaped from curling metalwork and delicate filigree. At its highest point, a small wind-up key rotates slowly, powered by unseen magic. Through the archway spreads the first glimpse of the wind-up carnival. It glows softly as though lit by 1,000 fireflies trapped inside lanterns of amber glass. Instead of loud music and bright noise, the carnival hums with a gentle chorus of ticking rhythms, soft, melodic, perfectly synchronized. Every little sound blends into a peaceful lullaby. The lights twinkle in warm yellows and rose gold hues, reflecting off brass rails and copper pathways that loop gracefully through the carnival grounds. The atmosphere feels both festive and incredibly calm, like a celebration happening inside a dream. To the left, a wind-up carousel turns slowly, each figure crafted from intricate gears and polished wood. Tiny horses, elephants, and playful mechanical foxes move in a rhythm so smooth it looks like they are gliding on air. Their bodies shimmer with engraved patterns, and their eyes glow gently, as if holding tiny lanterns. Instead of music, the carousel plays a slow, comforting hum produced by the turning gears beneath its platform. As it rotates, soft sparks drift from the horses' hooves, dissolving before they reach the ground. Closer to the centre of the carnival stands the clockwork Ferris wheel, tall and wondrous. Its structure is made of interlocking brass beams, each etched with flowing patterns of stars, moons, and swirling vines. At every rotation, the wheel emits a faint chiming sound, like bells ringing over distant hills. The gondolas are shaped like tiny glass bubbles, glowing gently from within. Each capsule drifts upward, carrying a sense of calm as it rises. For a visitor who steps inside, the world slows, and the tick-tick-tick of the wheel becomes a lullaby that settles deep into the heart. From the top, the entire carnival stretches like a glowing constellation against the twilight. Beyond the Ferris wheel lies an avenue lined with little game stalls, but these are unlike any earthly carnival games. Each stall is operated by a delicate mechanical creature, a fox wearing a tiny vest of copper plates, a raccoon with gears for whiskers, a bird with brass feathers. The games themselves are gentle puzzles, not competitions. One is a ring toss where the rings float softly toward the pegs when released. Another is a set of spinning tops that create glowing trails in different colours. Behind the stalls, tiny spark generators blow out drifting motes of warm light that dance through the air like floating fireflies. At the far end of the avenue stands a charming tent-like structure made from layers of shimmering metallic fabric. It ripples like silk even though no breeze touches it. This is the Ticking Theatre, a circular hall where wind-up performers move with mesmerizing grace. Inside, rows of plush velvet seats soft as pillows face a stage of polished brass. When the visitor takes a seat, the lights dim to a soft golden glow. Then the performers appear, tiny dancers crafted from delicate gears and silver springs. They move in perfect synchronization, their motions forming shapes like swirling snow, falling leaves and drifting petals. Each dance tells a story without words, written in gentle motions and subtle notes of ticking rhythm. After the performance, the theatre doors open once more to the main carnival lane. A warm breeze flows through the space, carrying scents of caramel, buttery pastries, and something faintly like toasted sugar. At a small stand near the exit, mechanical birds perch on a branch, each offering treats shaped like tiny gear flowers. These treats melt instantly on the tongue, spreading a gentle warmth that feels exactly like childhood delight wrapped in winter comfort. At the heart of the carnival lies its centrepiece, the grand clock fountain. This incredible sculpture blends flowing light with moving mechanics. At its base, glowing streams of liquid brightness flow outward, curling into swirling channels across the ground. Above them rises a central clock tower, its face rotating at a calm, steady pace. Instead of water, the fountain sends up spirals of sparkling light that turn into butterflies made of glowing dust. Each butterfly drifts gracefully around the fountain before dissolving into shimmering sparkles that fall like golden snowflakes. As the visitor approaches, the fountain responds. The clock hands shift slightly, pointing toward a narrow pathway illuminated by a soft trail of golden gears. The carnival's ticking chorus grows quieter, as though offering a gentle farewell. The lights dim just a little, becoming more intimate, more peaceful. The mechanical creatures bow their heads kindly, and the Ferris wheel rotates one last time with a soft chime that echoes through the air. The winding golden path leads to a new doorway, forming from drifting sparks. Its frame appears piece by piece, first the outline, then ornate metalwork, then a glowing symbol shaped like a tiny wind-up key. Beyond the doorway, warm light flickers. The carnival hums a final note of gratitude, then settles back into its quiet rhythm. With a heart filled with calm, the visitor steps forward, leaving behind the warm, ticking glow of the wind-up carnival as it slowly folds into the dreamscape of the toy shopper's world. Chapter 6: The Shelf of Forgotten Dreams. The golden sparks of the wind-up carnival fade into drifting curls of pale blue mist, each one carrying a faint shimmer like moonlight reflecting off quiet water. The pathway beneath the visitor softens, becoming smooth and cool as though made from moon-polished stone. Ahead, a doorway emerges slowly from the mist its frame, carved from weathered cedar, etched with small symbols of stars, clouds, feathers, and tiny sleeping faces. As the visitor steps closer, the wood glows faintly, not with brightness, but with a soft warmth that feels like memory rising gently from long ago. Passing through the cedar doorway, the air becomes hushed, as though dusted with quiet. This realm is dim, lit not by lanterns or glowing plants, but by the soft illumination of drifting orbs that float like tiny moons. The space ahead is vast, yet impossibly intimate. A long, winding chamber lined from floor to ceiling with towering shelves. Each shelf holds countless small objects, each glowing faintly with its own private light. The atmosphere carries the scent of old books, warm blankets, and gentle night air, blending into a feeling that is not quite nostalgia, not quite dreaming, but somewhere in between. This is the Shelf of Forgotten Dreams, a place where all the little hopes, imaginings, and quiet wishes that once drifted through someone's heart and were never given a chance to bloom are kept safe. Here they are tended, nurtured, and gently encouraged back into quiet life. As the visitor walks deeper into the chamber, the shelves respond. Some tilt slightly forward as if offering a better view. Others brighten just a little, their objects shimmering like embers rising from a fading fire. The whole realm feels alive, but softly, like a whisper that refuses to fade. Each item on the shelves is unique. Some are small wooden boxes carved with intricate patterns. Others are delicate glass globes that hold swirling colours and faint images. A few appear to be tiny plush creatures curled in peaceful slumber. Some objects flicker with visions of long-forgotten plays, imaginary friends, or unfinished childhood stories. When the visitor draws near, one of the items, a softly glowing glass marble, rolls gently toward the edge of the shelf. Within the marble, a tiny moving image appears, a child spinning in a field beneath a sky too big to remember properly. The marble pulses with a feeling of joy so faint and precious it almost aches. Further along, the shelves widen into a circular chamber. At its centre lies a low platform made from polished moonstone, shimmering faintly with shifting hues. As the visitor approaches, small objects drift up from the surrounding shelves, tiny lanterns, folded paper cranes, cracked teacups with gold-filled seams, and glass feathers that float without support. These objects circle slowly in the air, forming an orbit like a gentle constellation. Each one pulses with a soft glow, warm and steady, and the chamber hums with a low resonance that feels like a lullaby sung by the night itself. On the far end of the chamber, a towering shelf stands apart from the rest. Its structure appears older, built from weathered driftwood with lines shaped by tides and time. The objects here glow less brightly, their light soft and fragile. These are the dreams, almost forgotten completely dreams, tucked so deeply into memory that they barely flicker. One item seems to notice the visitor's approach. A little origami star resting in a glass jar brightens slightly, its folded paper unfolding just a little, stretching like someone waking after a long, gentle sleep. For a moment the star glows bright enough to light the shelf beside it. A soft breeze passes through the chamber, though its source is unclear. With it comes a faint melody reminiscent of distant humming quiet, comforting, familiar in a way that stirs the heart. The floating orbs drift closer, casting gentle circles of light across the floor. Tiny motes of shimmering dust fall from the high shelves, spiralling downward like slow-motion snowflakes. Each mote carries a faint memory, a half-remembered dream of flying, a story imagined but never written, a hope abandoned during a long-ago winter. They drift around the visitor, warming the air with soft light before fading peacefully. As the visitor moves deeper, the chamber narrows into a corridor lined with lanterns. These lanterns contain not flames, but swirling, misty shape streams that were nearly lost but found a new place to rest. Some show small scenes that shift like reflections in water, a castle made of pillows, a great glass garden blooming at dawn, a toy that once danced across a childhood bedroom. Others hold only gentle colours, twilight purple, morning blue, soft gold offering comfort without form. The lanterns sway slowly as the visitor passes, bowing in quiet acknowledgement. At the corridor's end stands a single pedestal supporting a large moonlit orb. This orb shifts constantly, its surface swirling with delicate images. When the visitor draws closer, the orb stills. The swirling inside resolves into a single scene, a memory, a dream, or a fragment of imagination meant only for the one who stands before it. The orb glows brighter, its warmth growing stronger. And then, as though recognizing its purpose, the orb gently launches a small glimmer of light into the air. The glimmer rises, pauses overhead, then drifts toward a new doorway forming at the end of the chamber. This doorway is different from the others. Its frame is made of smooth white wood shaped into gentle curves. Within the frame glows soft golden light, warm as home, quiet as the space between breaths. The shelves behind the visitor hum in farewell, and tiny objects shimmer as though waving with their faint lights. The forgotten dreams continue their peaceful orbit, watching as the next chapter of the journey calls softly. With one last glance at the moonlit shelves and drifting lights, the visitor steps toward the glowing doorway. The shelf of forgotten dreams grows dim behind them, returning to its gentle rhythm, protecting what it holds until the next wandering heart arrives. Chapter 7. The Paper Moon Station. The warm glow of the shelf of forgotten dreams fades behind the visitor as the soft golden doorway dissolves into drifting flecks of paper thin, weightless, swirling upward like leaves caught in a gentle wind. These flecks brighten, folding themselves mid-air into tiny shapes, cranes, stars, tiny sailing ships, little crescent moons. They drift ahead like guides, forming a shimmering trail through an open space that grows lighter and more airy with every step. The floor beneath the visitor becomes soft silver stone, polished, smooth and reflective like moonlit water. A wide wooden gate rises before them, but this gate is unlike anything seen so far. Its arch is made entirely of folded paper, thousands of crisp, pale sheets, carefully shaped into loops, spirals, and branching patterns. Every fold catches the ambient glow and reflects it in faint pearlescent hues. As the visitor draws near, the paper bends softly without tearing, opening like delicate wings and revealing the next realm, the Paper Moon Station. Passing through the arch, the visitor is greeted by weightless silence, the kind that fills the air just before dawn. The space opens into a floating station, suspended high above an endless sky painted in indigo and silver. Its platforms are crafted from lacquered wood shaped into soft curves, each one hovering gently without visible support. Pale lanterns bob in the air like luminous jellyfish, their paper shells glowing softly from within. They drift slowly across the open space, leaving trails of shimmering dust that fade into the vast, star-sprinkled sky. From the central platform rises an elegant tower made from intricately folded paper. Each level of the tower resembles a stacked lantern, glowing in hues of pearl white, gentle blue, and soft sunrise gold. The outer folds flutter slightly, rustling like quiet whispering pages. At the top of the tower sits a giant crescent moon, crafted from layers of folded silver paper that casts a calming glow across the entire station. This moon sways gently, as if floating on a quiet ocean of air. All around the visitor, small paper creatures animate softly. A flock of folded cranes glides overhead, their wings catching the moonlight as they drift between lanterns. Paper foxes with delicate pleated tails peek from behind curved wooden railings. Tiny folded turtles paddle across invisible currents beneath the floating platforms, their shells shimmering with subtle patterns of ink. Every creature moves with serene grace, and not a single fold appears out of place. A soft breeze flows through the station, cool but comforting. It carries the faint scent of ink, fresh parchment, and something sweet, like honey stirred into warm tea. With each breath, the breeze seems to whisper tiny sounds that resemble turning pages and gentle humming. Written characters, inked shapes that float like drifting petals, appear briefly in the air, swirling before dissolving into light. Some resemble words from forgotten stories, some resemble maps, and some appear to be fragments of lullabies. On one side of the station rests an elegant paper boat, large enough for a person to sit inside, folded from a single continuous sheet of thick, shimmering paper. Its surface is decorated with painted constellations that shift whenever touched by lantern light. The boat floats just above the platform, waiting silently. When approached, it tilts slightly forward, an invitation to board. A cluster of lanterns drifts downward as if to light the way, their soft glow illuminating the delicate details of the boat's folds. Nearby, a long railing overlooks the open sky. Beneath it, the world stretches far and wide. Clouds drift like sleeping creatures. Winds swirl in slow, careful spirals. Stars shimmer in clusters that seem unusually close, as if gathered to watch. Every now and then, a floating paper whale glides past in the distance, its enormous folded fins moving slowly as it carries small lanterns on its back. Its gentle call deep and resonant, like a distant gong echoes softly across the station. In the centre of the platform stands a small booth made from stacked paper scrolls. Inside it, a paper attendant shaped like a little moon-faced being with star-shaped eyes gives a slow, graceful bow. Its voice is not heard aloud, but felt like a soft vibration in the air, a welcome, peaceful and reassuring. It gestures toward a large circular chart displayed on the wall, showing routes through imaginary skies paths traced in ink, looping from crescent to crescent, star to star. These routes are not destinations in the traditional sense. Instead, they represent feelings, memories, and quiet wishes waiting to be revisited. A low hum begins to resonate through the air. The floating platforms adjust their positions ever so slightly, aligning into a gentle spiral. Lanterns gather overhead, forming a constellation that shifts into a large crescent shape, mirroring the paper moon above the tower. The station is preparing for something, a gentle transition, a shift toward the next realm. And in response, the paper creatures gather near the visitor, bowing their heads softly as though offering guidance. At the far end of the station, a new doorway begins to unfold from a single sheet of paper. The sheet floats in mid-air, then creases itself slowly and gracefully, forming an ornate arch decorated with ink-drawn patterns of stars and drifting clouds. Through the arch glows warm light brighter than the moonlit station, with hints of shimmering colour that promise a new kind of magic. The air stills in reverence. Even the paper lanterns pause, hovering in gentle alignment. With one last breath of cool, sky-scented air, the visitor steps forward toward the newly folded doorway. The paper moon station sways in farewell, its lanterns drifting in slow arcs as though waving with quiet gratitude. Then the folds shimmer, the wind softens, and the station begins to fade like a page turning softly in a dream. Chapter 8. The Storyteller's Hearth. Warm light seeps through the folded paper archway as the paper moon station drifts away, dissolving into drifting lantern specks. The air changes immediately, growing warmer, richer, like stepping through a doorway into a room where a fire has been quietly tended for hours. The scent shifts too, from crisp parchment and ink to something deeper and more comforting. Toasted spices, warm bread, and the faintest hint of pine smoke curling through the air. Ahead, the glow brightens, expanding into a soft amber haze that flickers gently like candlelight behind a curtain. The visitor steps onto a floor made of smooth river stones, softened by centuries of warmth. Each stone holds a faint glow beneath its surface, pulsing in a slow rhythm like a heartbeat. A narrow hallway opens ahead, lined with shelves filled not with objects, but with scrolls and journals. Some appear ancient, bound in weathered leather and tied with ribbon. Others are fresh and crisp, their pages blank except for a faint shimmer that hints at stories waiting to be written. As the visitor passes, a few scrolls tremble, their edges fluttering as though eager to be chosen. The hallway opens suddenly into a vast circular chamber, the heart of this realm. At its centre sits a great stone hearth carved with swirling patterns of stars, waves, mountains, and twisting vines. Within it, a fire burns with coloured flames that shift between gold, rose, sapphire, and soft mint green. The fire makes no crackling sound. Instead, it hums a deep, soothing tone that resonates throughout the room. Tiny sparks drift upward and spiral into the air, flickering briefly before transforming into little glowing letters that drift gently toward the ceiling like floating embers of language. Around the hearth, a cluster of enormous cushions and plush seats form a ring, each one covered in embroidered patterns depicting dreamlike scenes. A ship sailing through a sky of clouds, a fox wearing spectacles reading beneath a tree of lanterns, a cottage perched on top of a floating island. The seating is arranged not in strict rows, but in soft, meandering curves that invite rest, warmth, and quiet reflection. When the visitor settles into one, the cushion subtly reshapes itself to cradle them in perfect comfort. Across the chamber, perched near the fire, sits the figure who gives this realm its name, the storyteller. Cloaked in robes stitched from countless patches, each one painted with tiny symbols and constellations, they appear ageless, neither young nor old. Their face is warm and kind, lit by the glow of the shifting fire. When the visitor enters, the storyteller lifts their gaze and the fire brightens as though recognizing an old friend. The storyteller doesn't speak aloud. Instead, a gentle voice fills the space around the visitor, like a memory whispering through the air, quiet, steady, compassionate. The storyteller gestures to the shelves that curve along the chamber walls. Here, hundreds of stories rest in various stages of becoming. Some float just above their shelves, their covers partly open as though exhaling ideas into the room. Others rest quietly, glowing with the faint warmth of completed tales. A few appear unfinished pages fluttering, ink swirling like stirred mist, awaiting the moment when someone returns to continue them. Every story here is treated with care, whether it is bold and adventurous or shy and delicate. Beyond the shelves lie alcoves filled with magical writing instruments, quills made from phoenix-like feathers that glow softly, brushes dipped in inks that shimmer like starlight, pens carved from enchanted branches that produce words according to the writer's emotions. Visitors to the storyteller's hearth do not need to be writers. The tools respond to intention rather than skill. Even a simple thought placed onto a page becomes something beautiful here, shaped with the same gentle magic that fuels the hearth's flame. The storyteller's hearth is not only a place of creation, but of transformation. From time to time, a spark from the fire drifts across the room and lands on an empty cushion. When it does, a tiny creature of pure light appears, a glowing rabbit, or an owl, or a dancing figure shaped from shifting symbols. These creatures wander the chamber, carrying fragments of stories yet to be born. As they move, they leave shimmering trails of letters that fade softly into the air. They never hurry, never push, never overwhelm. They simply exist, spreading warmth and inspiration like drifting fireflies of imagination. Toward the back of the chamber stands a tall window framed by ivy made from golden thread. Through the window, wisps of glowing fog drift across a quiet landscape of floating islands, lantern-lit pathways, and rivers of gentle light. This is where the stories written here sometimes drift when they are ready to become dreams, waiting for someone sleeping peacefully in another realm. The visitor watches as a completed story bound in a soft glowing clasp lifts itself from a shelf and glides through the window, drifting into the dreamscape beyond. As the moment deepens, the storyteller rises and approaches a small wooden table beside the visitor. On it rests a single book with an unmarked cover. The storyteller nods softly as though offering a gift. The book opens on its own, revealing several glowing pages filled with words that shimmer faintly before rearranging themselves into new shapes. Whatever the visitor hopes for comfort, inspiration, reassurance, the book reshapes its story to provide it. The hearth does not demand anything in return. Its only purpose is to kindle warmth in weary hearts. After a time, the storyteller lifts a hand toward a new doorway, forming slowly on the far side of the chamber. The doorway is curved and delicate, its frame woven from strands of light resembling braided moonbeams. The glow on the other side is soft, steady, and welcoming. The storyteller's eyes brighten with gentle gratitude. The fire dims just slightly, as though bowing in farewell. With a final warm pulse of the chamber's glow, the visitor steps toward the doorway. The cushions soften behind them, the shelves hum tenderly, and the hearth releases a last drift of glowing letters that rise like tiny blessings. The storyteller watches, serene and kind, as the visitor steps forward into the next realm of the toy shop's mysterious enchanted world. Chapter 9. The Workshop of Whirring Wonders. The doorway, woven from strands of moonlit thread, draws the visitor forward, warm light spilling from its centre like a promise. As the storyteller's hearth fades behind them, the air becomes cooler, touched by a faint metallic scent, polished silver, warm copper, and the sweetness of sawdust warmed by lamplight. A faint chorus rises in the distance, not of voices but of tiny motions, gentle clinks, small rotating gears, soft taps like raindrops falling onto wood. The light shifts from amber to a soft sunrise gold, illuminating a broad workshop unlike any other in the toy shop's hidden world. The Workshop of Whirring Wonders opens into a massive circular room, its ceiling stretching high into the shadows. Dozens of warm lamps hang from metal vines overhead, their glass shades glowing with the colour of melted honey. Beneath them lies an intricate floor of interlocking tiles shaped like gears and petals. The tiles move ever so slightly, shifting in slow patterns that resemble blooming flowers. Each step taken causes a soft click beneath the feet, as though the visitor is walking on a living invention that hums with quiet joy. Scattered throughout the workshop are countless workbenches made of smooth wood and polished brass. Each one holds a tiny invention in progress. Spiraled springs polished to a mirror shine, small bird-shaped gears awaiting their wings, constellation globes that spin softly on their own, music box keys shaped like stars, hearts or moon crescents. Some of these objects flutter with faint motion, as though practicing their purpose even before they are fully assembled. The workshop glows with the peaceful busyness of a place where imagination rests in perfect harmony with craft. From the far end of the room comes a familiar movement, a cluster of small mechanical animals scurrying playfully between tables. A brass mouse darts quickly across a bench, its tail made of delicate wire that curls with expressive flicks. A fox made of brushed copper hops lightly from stool to stool, its paws glowing with soft light. A tiny mechanical bird, its feathers crafted from overlapping silver leaves, flits through the air, landing near the visitor with a tilt of its bright gem-like eye. It lets out a soft churring hum, an invitation, or perhaps a greeting. As the visitor steps deeper into the workshop, a soft vibration travels through the floor. Moments later, a towering contraption near the centre of the room awakens. Tall and elegant, it resembles a tree made of cogs and polished beams. Its branches extend out in gleaming arcs, each one holding tiny lanterns shaped like blossoms. These lanterns hum quietly, glowing brighter whenever an invention is completed somewhere in the workshop. Tonight, many glow softly, forming a constellation of lights across the room, each representing a new wonder waiting to be discovered. On one side of the workshop sits a section dedicated entirely to flight. Here, miniature hot air balloons made from lace and thin wood frames float gently above their benches. Some are powered by tiny warm light embers that flicker within their baskets. Others drift upward due to winds created by delicate fans shaped like butterfly wings. Nearby, gliders resembling dragonflies rest with their wings folded, shimmering as though coated in morning dew. Every creation moves with its own quiet will, not chaotic or unpredictable, but as though gently breathing. Farther along lies another section devoted to music and sound. Organ pipes shaped like seashells rest beside chime bars carved from luminous stone. Tiny drums shaped like walnuts bounce softly when touched, releasing sounds that ripple like tiny footsteps across a forest floor. A row of music boxes sits neatly on a shelf, each one carved with swirling designs. When opened, they emit melodies that range from lullabies to soft, drifting harmonies that feel like distant memories made audible. The heart of the workshop, however, is a massive table surrounded by swirling mechanical arms. These arms move with grace, not hurried or sharp, but smooth and soothing. They sort small pieces into trays, lift tools with soft clinks, and assist in assembling the most intricate creations. At the head of this table stands the workshop master, a gentle figure constructed from glowing wood and polished metal plates. Their face is smooth and featureless, except for two soft orbs of warm light that serve as eyes. Their presence radiates calm, steady creativity. When the visitor approaches, the workshop master tilts their head in a gesture of welcome. They extend a handshake from interlocked gears. The touch is warm, not metallic-like, holding the palm of a well-worn wooden puppet. Without a word, they guide the visitor to a smaller table set off to one side. Here lies a tiny collection of unfinished items, a wind-up feather that pulses faintly with soft magic, a small lantern missing its curved glass door, and a tiny key shaped like a curled vine. The workshop master gestures gently, inviting the visitor to choose. Whichever item the visitor selects begins to glow with renewed life. The table lights up, and tiny gears rise like fireflies, swirling around the item and helping the visitor shape the finishing touches. It does not matter if the visitor has never built anything before. Here, creation is an act of quiet intention rather than skill. As they set the final piece in place, the object hums softly, then lifts from the table. The workshop master catches it gently, nodding in warm approval before placing it on the shelf reserved for wonders crafted with the heart. Once the object is safe on its shelf, the workshop responds. Lamps flicker more brightly. The mechanical animals whirl playfully in small circles. The floor tiles pulse in gentle rhythm. A soft melody spreads through the air, as though the workshop itself is expressing gratitude for new creativity brought to life. The warmth in the room deepens, enveloping the visitor like a soft embrace. At the far end of the workshop, a new doorway appears, this one formed from twisting beams of silver and gold that intertwine like branches. Sparks of gentle white light drift around its frame, settling onto the floor like glowing snow. Beyond it lies a realm suffused with deeper wonder still, its colours shifting like reflections on water. The workshop master steps aside, offering a small bow. The mechanical bird that greeted the visitor earlier flits toward the doorway, landing atop it and chirring in a tone that feels like encouragement. With one last look at the warm, humming chamber, the whirring tools, the glowing lanterns, the tiny creations full of quiet magic, the visitor steps toward the shimmering entrance. The workshop hums a final note of farewell, its heart beating gently behind them as they move onward through the toy shop's enchanted world. Chapter 10. The Chamber of Returning Lights. The shimmering doorway of silver and gold branches folds inward like woven threads being gently gathered, revealing the next realm with a soft sigh of warm air. As the visitor crosses the threshold, the humming echo of the workshop of whirring wonders quiets behind them, replaced by a silence so serene it feels almost sacred. The light shifts from the warm amber glow of the workshop to something softer, deeper light that seems to pulse slowly, like the glow beneath the surface of a sleeping lantern. The air is comfortably warm, the scent delicate and clean, touched with hints of candle wax, gentle rain, and something faintly sweet like soft sugar melting on the tongue. The ground becomes smooth beneath the feet, made of pale stone veined with threads of silver light. The path winds forward, rising very slightly in a spiral. All around is open space, vast yet intimate, lit by drifting motes of light that float like tiny stars. These lights move slowly, dancing in graceful spirals and arcs, leaving faint trails that shimmer briefly before fading. Some lights glow softly in pastel hues: lavender, peach, ice blue, soft gold, while others shine in warm white tones like lanterns in miniature. None are harsh, all are calming. As the path curves upward, the visitor realizes the drifting lights are gathering, converging toward a central chamber suspended in the heart of this realm. This chamber is round and gently domed at the top, its outer walls made of translucent crystal that glows with inner warmth. It looks almost alive, as though breathing faintly with each pulse of light. When the visitor approaches, the walls turn clearer, revealing the shapes within. Dancing silhouettes of old memories, fragments of wonder, and echoes of the realms visited so far. Inside, the Chamber of Returning Lights opens into a space that feels boundless but comforting, like a warm sky held gently in both hands. A circular pool lies at its centre, not of water, but of quiet radiance. The surface glows with swirling reflections of all the lights floating above it. Every ripple in the brightness reveals glimpses of the clockwork forest's golden trees, the plush kingdom's soft patchwork hills, the glass garden's crystalline blooms, the wind-up carnival's sparkling wheels, the drifting lanterns of the paper moon station, the firelit glow of the storyteller's hearth, and the warm artistry of the workshop of whirring wonders. It is as though every step of the visitor's journey has been gathered here, held gently, and offered back as a shimmering tapestry of light. Around the glowing pool are tall pillars made from smooth stone, etched with scenes from each realm. The etchings shift, moving softly like illustrations waking from a storybook. A plush bear waves its stitched paw. The glass flowers of the garden sway gently. Paper cranes glide across the pillar surface, folding and unfolding in slow motion. Mechanical foxes trot playfully along the edge of a stone relief. Everything the visitor has seen is alive here, subtle, respectful, glowing with gratitude. Above, the chamber's dome ceiling begins to brighten. It displays constellations formed from drifting lights that rearrange themselves continually. These constellations paint gentle stories across the dome. A child wandering through dreamlike forests, a lantern guiding travellers across folded skies, a key unlocking a glowing heart-shaped box. Each constellation pulses with a sense of quiet meaning, not demanding interpretation, only offering reassurance. A reminder that every journey, no matter how small or unseen, leaves behind its own glow. As the visitor steps closer to the central pool, the drifting lights begin to descend. One by one they lower themselves until they hover near the visitor's shoulders and hands, warming the air with their gentle glow. Each light holds a memory, not a literal one, but a feeling from the realms. The peaceful hum of gears in the clockwork forest, the comforting softness of the plush kingdom, the delicate chiming of the glass gardens, the warm rhythms of the wind-up carnival, the tranquil drift of the paper moon station, the quiet wisdom of the storyteller's hearth, and the soft creativity of the workshop of whirring wonders. The lights orbit the visitor, floating slowly, forming a soft halo of illumination. Their presence feels like a warm blanket wrapped around the heartlight, but deeply reassuring. After a moment they rise again, drifting upward like little lanterns released into the night sky. They form a loose path across the chamber, pointing toward a new, gently glowing archway on the far side. This archway is made from pale white stone, accented with swirling silver patterns that resemble falling snow. Its shape is reminiscent of the toy shop's very first door simple, warm, inviting. Through the archway glows a soft orange light, like the glow of welcoming lamps on a quiet winter evening. This is the final passage back toward the toy shop itself, where the story began. Before the visitor steps toward it, the central pool brightens one last time. The swirling reflections gather into a single image, a gentle representation of the visitor themselves, surrounded by drifting light. It lasts only a moment before dissolving, leaving behind a soft shimmer that settles like dust on the air. The chamber dims slightly, humming with peaceful farewell. The drifting lights rise like stars returning to the sky. The pillars glow warmly in gratitude. The path ahead brightens with quiet promise. And with that, the visitor steps forward, guided by light, carrying the warmth of every realm toward the final chapter of the Magical Toy Shop. Conclusion: The Toy Shop at Winter's Dawn. The gentle glow of the chamber of returning lights follows the visitor only for a moment before softening into a faint shimmer behind them. The pale stone archway closes like a warm breath drawn inward, and the quiet hush of the toy shop returns. The air here feels familiar again, still magical, still full of wonder, but touched by the comfort of a place that has waited patiently. The scent of pine shavings and cinnamon drifts through the room, settling as gently as falling snow. Outside, the faintest hint of dawn glows through the frosted windows, painting the shop's corners with soft blue light. The shelves of the toy shop seem to shift back into their daytime shapes, though they hold a subtle new glow now. Toys sit peacefully in their places, wooden trains with polished wheels, plush animals with soft stitched smiles, marbles that gleam like tiny planets. Even though the enchanted realms lie hidden once again, their echoes linger. A small ticking sound drifts from behind the clockwork forest door. A soft scent of lavender rises from where the plush kingdom once opened. A faint shimmer of colour catches the eye near the glass garden's former passage. Every path travelled leaves behind quiet gratitude. The brass bell above the entrance door moves slightly, though no wind touches it. Instead of its magical nighttime chime, it rings softly with a simple, warm tone, an everyday sound that feels suddenly precious. The light outside grows brighter as the winter sun rises over the storybook village. Snowflakes drift gently past the windows, glowing pale gold as they catch the early light. The village is still silent, wrapped in the hush that comes before the world wakes, but the toy shop now feels fuller, brighter, not because the magic vanished, but because it settled into every corner of the room. Along the far wall, the compass rose embedded in the wooden floor glows for just a moment. Its 4 points emit a soft light north in gold, south in silver, east in pale blue, west in warm rose. Then it slowly fades back to its carved form, leaving the faint memory of its radiance lingering in the air. It is a quiet reminder that every direction within this shop leads somewhere extraordinary, whether or not the paths are open. The realms of imagination never truly close, they simply rest until they are needed again. The visitors' steps feel lighter now as they move toward the centre of the room. The toys nearby seem to shift just slightly, as if offering a farewell gesture. A wooden bird lifts one wing in a polite nod. A plush rabbit-stitched ears sit a little taller. A glass marble near the counter flickers with a tiny swirl of colour, like a shy wave. These small motions are barely perceptible, but each carries a feeling of warmth that settles gently in the visitor's chest. The counter lamp glows softly, illuminating the rows of tiny boxes, scrolls and wonders crafted by past visitors. The brass register hums once, as though acknowledging the journey. The mobile of glass orbs above it turns lazily, revealing scenes that shift from one realm to another, the glowing flowers of the glass gardens, the distant lanterns of the paper moon station, the gear-lit branches of the workshop of whirring wonders. One orb shows a tiny version of the visitor walking through a glowing archway, leaving behind a trail of soft light. Then, with a gentle shimmer, the scene drifts into another. The door of the toy shop waits quietly, covered in soft, dusted snowflakes that glitter along the edges of the glass pane. When the visitor steps closer, the warmth of the shop gathers behind them, pressing softly like a farewell hug. The sound of the village beginning to stir rises faintly outside, a cartwheel rolling over snow, the distant bark of a mourning dog, a lantern being lit in a nearby window. Life is waking gently and steadily as dawn spreads across the rooftops. Before the visitor reaches the doorway, the shop gives one last sign of gratitude. A tiny wind-up lantern on a nearby shelf flickers to life. Its small key rotates once, and a soft golden glow expands from inside the glass. The lantern lights the visitor's path to the door, shimmering with quiet affection, then dims again as they pass. Every piece of the shop seems to breathe out a warm goodbye. The brass bell rings as the visitor steps outside. Its sound simple, earthly and familiar, but layered now with the faintest echo of the toy shop's nighttime magic. Snow crunches softly beneath their feet. The village rooftops glow gold under the rising sun, and gentle flakes drift lazily through the air. Behind them, the shop's windows still shine, warm and golden, though by daylight it all seems perfectly normal, perfectly ordinary. Only the visitor knows what lies behind the wooden shelves, beyond the hidden doors, beneath the glow of lanterns and drifting lights. Only they know how the shop awakens at night, unfolding into 100 secret worlds woven from dreams, comfort, creativity, and gentle wonder. As they walk down the snowy cobblestone street, the magic settles into their heart, not as something distant or fantastical, but as something peaceful and enduring. The toy shop will be there again when needed. The doors will open, the realms will wait, and the light will return, softly and surely, like winter dawn rising over a quiet storybook village. We hope you enjoyed today's serene journey and found peace in our gentle narration. Do join us next time as we make a relaxing visit to another of the world's most iconic places. Sweet dreams and safe travels until we meet again.